Hi Twin Flames, it's Lisa here from Lisa's Twin Flame Coaching. I've been asked to make a video about the long-term separation of twin flames. So many of you on this journey have been in really long separation periods with your divine counterpart, and you may be unsure as to what's going on in the connection. You may be unsure what stage or where your divine counterpart is at. And I just wanted to shine a little bit more light on why you may be in a really long period of separation with your twin. So sometimes on this journey, we meet our twin and it can all kind of happen very quickly. We can maybe spiral into falling head over heels for them. Some of us will have some kind of running and chasing with our twin. It doesn't always work like that. Some people only really meet their twin once and they've been activated. But for many of us, there is that initial, hot stage where the feelings do appear mutual, and that there is definitely some kind of confirmation that there is a connection between the two of you. And this is what can be so baffling about this journey is you recognize they're your twin and you feel like maybe they have figured out that you're special too, and you start to anticipate that this is your person and that you are going to kind of live happily ever after. But as we know on this journey, it can take a really big turn, and instead of going the way that we hoped and planned, it can go the opposite way, where divine masculine runs. And when they run for like a really long time, this is when you might see your masculine enter into another relationship. They may even enter into a marriage, and then you are left in this really long period of separation while they appear to be living kind of a normal life. And here you are in pain, going through a spiritual awakening and just wondering, what went wrong. But I do want to point out that there's no mistakes on this journey. So if you haven't quite come into union here, then there is a reason for it. And the divine will separate twins so that they can go away and do their individual work on this journey. So it's in the separation that the transformation is happening. And as the divine feminine, as the leading twin, sorry, my puppy, as the first twin to typically awaken, we are the ones kind of left hurting because we recognize that we had met our same soul. We recognize that this is perhaps a twin flame journey, and we can't understand why they can take off and be with somebody else. But again, the divine is pushing you apart here because you can't go through your full transformation whilst in union with your twin flame. So the running and chasing has to happen, or the long periods of separation have to happen so that divine feminine can go through their transformation individually. And this can be very hurtful. I know I was blessed that my twin did come in and out quite frequently. I never had too long a periods of separation, but it certainly can play out that your twin goes off and gets married, and then you are left kind of on the sidelines for maybe many years. And I have heard of people who meet their twin when they're quite young, and then their twin goes and gets married, and they're still on this journey like 20 years later, wondering if their union is still possible. So I just want to point out in this video that yes, your union is always possible. Your divine masculine can always return to you, and you can always still have your union, but you don't want to be waiting around for your twin flame. You do want to try and move on with your life. You do want to try to work on becoming your very best self in that space, so that when they do return, you are prepared for union. And I know it's easier said than done. When I say move on with your life, we can be finding it very hard to date anyone else. Once you meet your twin, the energy of your twin can be hard to match. So you may feel like you don't want to be with anybody else. And again, here, that's fine too. If you feel like you can try and date, then you should. And there may be some more lessons for you in that. But if you don't feel any desire to date or be with anyone else, then this is a journey of learning to be alone. It's a journey of learning to get to know who you are. And often we need solitude and space to do that. So while your masculine may be in another marriage or relationship, they are going through lessons. They are probably with a karmic or a soulmate, and they are learning lessons in that relationship. So they are learning things like, what true love is and is not. They're learning about the pressures of being with the wrong person. They're learning about, playing out some of the karma that maybe they need to clear. Other divine masculines are having families with soulmates. And again, that's for a reason. Twins sort of have a different purpose than just sort of being in a romantic bubble raising families. They have kind of a higher purpose than that. So typically twin flames will have families or children with other partners, with soulmates. And then when you do come together for union, you can focus more on dharma, like sharing purpose, helping the world, like raising the frequency of others. You can be more focused on those higher conscious events rather than like the typical 3D things like raising children and whatnot. And that can be hard to hear. That can be really triggering because many of us want to have families with our twins. We want to, have that experience with them. And unfortunately, it doesn't always play out like that. Sometimes they do go and have children with other people. But you shouldn't take this as that the journey is over, because it certainly isn't. It's just not time yet. It means that your masculine is not ready for union yet. They still have other experiences they need to go through, which also indicates somewhere that you are not quite ready for union either. And by that, I mean that you probably still have to go through the stages of your spiritual awakening. You probably have more healing and growing to do. And your job is to kind of focus on that whilst your masculine is learning lessons elsewhere. So all the karma does need to be cleared for twins. So any karma that they're clearing is for your union anyway. And meanwhile, while you're doing your thing, you're also working on clearing your karma too. So try not to be upset if they are with a karmic or a soulmate. I know it can make us feel very rejected, very jealous, and very hurt. But it's actually sometimes an essential step for your union, because when your divine masculine comes back, they would have got all of the lessons that they needed from those other partners, rather than that all having to play out with you. So it kind of is a blessing that they're learning those lessons elsewhere, and it doesn't have to kind of, affect you as such. Another thing to consider here too is if your masculine does have a third party, does have another connection, that somewhere you possibly have a third party energy too. And if you haven't cleared that third party energy, then they're always going to mirror back to you that they are also in a third party. And third party energy on your side, it's not just being in a relationship or a partnership. Third parties can be many things. They are basically anything that is blocking your union, anything that is stopping you from being your best self. So if your twin still has a third party, it's just an indication that you do too somewhere. And again, use this long separation period to clear all your third parties, to clear all your blocks to union. And they can be financial blocks or addictions or anything that's keeping you smaller than who you truly want to be. Anything that's not in alignment with your soul. All right, so that's a big one. If your twin is mirroring third parties to you, it's a signal to figure out where on your side you have some third party clearing to do. And if you need help with that, please reach out. Again, so in the long separation, the divine is using that time of you possibly being alone or in hermit mode to help you reach unity consciousness. So it's not wasted time. All of that time you are apart from your twin, you are dealing with healing, you are facing any like childhood wounds, you are ascending. So you're going through the ascension process. And quite often we can't do that when we're in union with our twin. We need to do that separately. So as you ascend and reach unity consciousness and come into inner union, that is what triggers the return of the divine masculine. So as long as you're focusing on yourself in that separation period, as long as you're working on your ascension and aiming for unity consciousness, then your twin has no choice but to return later on. If you have cleared all your third parties, if you have reached unity consciousness, if you have done the work of this journey and realigned back to your truth and to your soul, then your divine masculine has no choice but to return. Remember, they are the same soul. So as the leading twin, when we reach alignment, when we reach inner union, it automatically pulls the divine masculine back to you. And this is when you will see them reaching out and starting to chase you for a change. So I know this is very triggering, but if your twin is still apart from you, it just means there's still more work on your side. You still maybe have not quite reached inner union. And again, if you need help doing that, please reach out. All right, so the long separations are, they do have purpose. It's for both twins' benefits. And it also means that when you do come back together for union, that everything would have already been kind of cleared and done. So nobody is still thinking they need to go through a soulmate connection. Nobody still needs to go and have children with somebody else. Like all of that has been cleared. So by the time you do come together for union, and even if that is 20 years later, then you can trust that it's going to be a happy and harmonious union. You can trust that most of the hard work has been done. So once you do come back together, it shouldn't be tumultuous. There shouldn't be like a huge amount of running and chasing. It should be quite peaceful and quite steady. And, you know, in my opinion, it's better to go through the long separation so that when you come back together, it's smoother and peaceful, rather than trying to force the union too soon and triggering each other's egos again and going back into separation. So you want like stability. You want to be sure that the connection's going to last. And if you do kind of come together too soon with your masculine, then you do run that risk of getting pushed back into another separation period. All right, so there is healing and growth in the separation. There is karma being played out. There is lessons for both twins. As I said earlier, this is where divine feminine really needs to work on creating the life of her dreams, getting herself in the right position so that when her masculine comes back, it's just the icing on the cake. So divine feminine has already created this beautiful, wonderful life. They may be discovering their dharma, their purpose. They may have got everything feeling really wonderful, so that when their masculine comes back, it's simply just the cherry on the top. We're not putting all of our hopes and dreams into another person. We're giving all of that to ourselves. All right, I do give you my sympathy. It's really hard to be apart from our masculines, especially for any real length of time. And again, it's going to bring up feelings of abandonment, feelings of rejection, and all of that is to trigger you to heal. So try to sit with those feelings, try to work through the pain of that separation, because there's no doubt it's not going to be easy to be away from your masculine. Okay, I hope that helps. Yeah, thank you so much for listening. If you have any ideas for videos, please drop them in the comments. Have a great day and God bless.